We start this afternoon with breaking news from Antrim County, where a verdict has been reached in the final trial for the plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer. Just about an hour ago, the jury found all three defendants, Eric Molitor and brothers Michael and William Null, not guilty of all the charges against them. The three were charged with providing material support for an act of terrorism and felony firearm. They faced 20 years in prison, but are free men this afternoon. 9 and 10 Zachariah Wheaton has been in the courtroom since day one and joins us with reaction to this morning's verdict. Zach?
Yeah, the jury, they handed in the verdict around 10:30 this morning and found all three defendants, that's Eric Molitor and brothers William and Michael Null, not guilty on providing material support for an act of terrorism and felony firearm. Now, Molitor, right outside the courthouse, just completely relieved. He talked about, what it's meant to him and his family over the past 3 years, the stresses that this has provided, and he's just basically said he's glad that it's over, and he's looking forward to getting into local politics, is what he told us. Now, I did ask Molitor's defense attorney what exactly, what does he think is going through the jury's mind there to give that not guilty verdict, and he told me that basically it's just the FBI's involvement in the case, as well as the state not providing enough evidence that they gave that material support knowingly. And, in looking at that as well, the Null brothers, unfortunately, they took off right out of the courthouse. As soon as that verdict was read, the Null brothers and their attorneys, they left the courthouse. So we weren't able to talk with them, but I know it's something that, the Null brothers, I imagine, relieved as well because their families have been present in the courthouse throughout the trial. Now, the Attorney General's office, they did comment. They put out an email, or put out a statement, I should say, and they say, quote, "While today's verdicts are not what we hoped for, the successes we have achieved throughout these cases in both state and federal courts send a clear message that acts of domestic terrorism will not be tolerated in Michigan." Now, the 5 individuals have either pled guilty or were found guilty and are serving up to 131 years collectively in prison for their role in the plot. Now, we will have more coming up tonight on 9 and 10 News at 5. We will hear from Eric Molitor and his attorney, hear those reactions. That's coming up tonight at 5. Reporting live here in Antrim County, I'm Zachariah Wheaton, 9 and 10 News.
Okay, Zachariah, thank you. And this was the final trial in the plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer. Not everyone who was first arrested more than 3 years ago has been found guilty. So let's walk through who was found guilty and not guilty. Legal action all started with the federal charging of 6 men for their suspected involvement in the plot. The now convicted ringleader of the plot, Adam Fox, as well as 4 others, pleaded not guilty to kidnapping and weapons charges, while 2 of the original suspects, Ty Garbin and Caleb Franks, took plea deals. 2 others, Daniel Harris and Brandon Caserta, were found not guilty by a jury. Adam Fox and Barry Croft were eventually convicted in a second trial after a hung jury in their first trial. Fox was sentenced to 16 years in prison, while Croft is set to spend 19 years and 7 months behind bars for his role in the plot. That leaves 2 plea deals, 2 found not guilty and 2 found guilty at the federal level. As for the state charges, 7 men, including Molitor and the Null brothers, were charged with providing material support to an act of terrorism, as well as firearms charges. Pete Musical, Joseph Morrison, and Paul Bellar, who you see here, were found guilty in a downstate court. Sean Fix and Brian Higgins both pleaded guilty in Antrim County. And just an hour ago, Eric Molitor and the Null brothers were found not guilty. In all, 5 people were found not guilty, 4 people admitted to their role in the plot, and 5 others were found guilty by a jury. We will have a full recap of this Antrim County trial tonight at 5 and 6, including what the 3 men had to say just moments after finding out they were not guilty.